First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Brachah Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Ecclesiasticus, or the book of Sirach, the 8th chapter. So this is Sirach 8 and 1. It says here, strive not with a mighty man, lest thou fall into his hands. Be not at variance with a rich man, lest he overweigh thee. For gold hath destroyed many, and perverted the heart of kings. Right. So basically, the advice here is, don't try to go against somebody that is mightier than you, because it's not going to end well for you. Right. They have the advantage of you. So use wisdom. Verse 2. I'm going to read this in the GNTD. It says, do not quarrel with someone rich. He may bribe people to turn against you. Gold has destroyed many people and corrupted kings. Okay, so be mindful of that. Strive not with a man that is full of tongue, right? That is one that basically, speaks a lot, and also can be very insulting, okay? Because what's going to happen is you're going to heap, okay, as it says, heap not wood upon his fire, because you're going to get him started, so to speak. Okay, in fact, somebody that doesn't even speak much, if you get into an argument or back and forth with them, a debate with them, they speak a lot. Somebody that doesn't even speak much. How much more for one that is full of tongue, meaning that they talk a lot. Okay, so you're going to heap wood upon his fire. Basically, you're going to keep him going. And I think in the 20th chapter, it talks about that, right? Nobody likes somebody that talks a lot. Verse 4, jest not with a rude man. When you jest, it's like almost like disrespectful joking with a rude man, lest thy ancestors be disgraced, being that he would, insult, all right, your ancestors, and you basically speak reproachfully against them. Verse 5, reproach not a man that turneth from sin, but remember that we are all worthy of punishment, right? So somebody that the scriptures tell you that, right? When somebody, turns from their wicked way, you're to basically forget about that old past that they had. And here the advice is, remember that we are all worthy of punishment. So meanwhile, while you're reproaching somebody, even though they've left off those wicked ways, the Lord might be looking at you and saying, oh, really? Then maybe I should recount the wicked things you've done. It's not like you're perfect. Dishonor not a man in his old age, for even some of us wax old, right? So just because somebody's old, don't dishonor them or or disrespect them, because eventually you're going to be old one day, all right? And the Lord might have that happen to you. Rejoice not over thy greatest enemy being dead, but remember that we die all, right? So you're also a mortal person just like them, so don't. And this is, like cautionary advice, right? Being mindful in how to carry yourself, because you never know when your time might be up too, right? But in the overall scheme of things, you best believe we're gonna rejoice when Esau is taken down, right? But anyway, verse 8, it says, despise not the discourse of the wise, but acquaint thyself with their proverbs, right? Get familiar, get acquainted, involved with their proverbs, which are their wise sayings. For of them thou shalt learn instruction, right? You can learn a lot from like we read, for example, even in this book, right? Sirach or Ecclesiastes, Proverbs, Psalms, all these books in the scriptures, which are instructions, right? And some of them are proverbs, but you learn a lot from them, right? And how to serve great men with ease. It says here, miss not the discourse of the elders, because basically what it is that you gain knowledgeable experience, right? Experience that's not gained through actual experience, but knowledge that's not gained through actual experience, but through the experience of others, and you can use that to your advantage. Verse 9, miss not the discourse of the elders, right? The communication of the elders, for they also learn of their fathers, right? So you can learn from them just as they learn from their fathers. And of them thou shalt learn understanding, because they know a lot more than you, and to give answer as need requireth. So you're going to pick up certain gems that they're going to drop as they're speaking, and you'll gain a lot more wisdom and understanding by listening to them speak. Kindle not coals of a sinner, lest thou be burned with the flame of his fire. Now, when you kindle coals, you basically get a fire going. If you egg on a sinner, right, to promote his sinful ways, you never know when eventually those sinful ways might come back and affect you, right? He might eventually do something that might, end up being a detriment to you. Meanwhile, you're the one who got him started. Verse 11, rise not up in anger at the presence of an injurious person, lest he lie in wait to entrap thee in thy words. And reading verse 11 in the GNTD, it says, you should not get up and walk out on someone who is insolent. He might twist your words and use them against you. Verse 12, lend not unto him that is mightier than thyself, for if thou lendest him, count it but loss. Yeah, because if you lend to somebody that's mightier than you, how, if he refuses to pay it back, how are you going to get him to pay it back? So at that point, just, consider it gone. Instead of a loan, just consider it like a gift. Be not surety above thy power. A surety is one that is like, actually, I'll read, let me finish reading this whole thing. I'll read in the GNT or GNTD, all right, which will be a bit clearer for verse 13. For if thou be surety, take care to pay it. So verse 13, it says, you should not guarantee anyone else's loan to an extent that you cannot afford, right? Which is that you would pay it on their behalf if it came down to it. And so don't be a guarantee for somebody else's loan, especially not to the extent that you cannot afford. You must be prepared to pay any such guarantee. That's just a wise thing to do. The wisest thing to do is to not put yourself in that position. But if you are, make sure you're not, doing too much, lest it comes and affects you, in a far more harmful way. Okay. Verse 14, go not to law with a judge. don't go to law is like going to trial, right? Where your opponent is a judge. For they will judge for him according to his honor, right? Knowing his position that he has, they will judge in his favor. Okay, because of the role that he has. For them, it might be more beneficial for them. But that's an example of when it says up above, strive not with a mighty man, or be not at variance with a rich man, even though here his position is going to give him that edge over you. Verse 15, travel not by the way with a bold fellow, lest he become grievous unto thee, right? So one that is brazen, headstrong, because eventually if he becomes grievous unto you, it says, for he will do according to his own will. He doesn't have the thought of discretion, or using wisdom and being calm. His thought is, what, he the type to yell something crazy at a freaking cartel gang that's passing by. So it says he would do according to his will, and thou shalt perish with him through his folly, because he's going to do something stupid and drag you into it with him. Verse 16, strive not with an angry man, and go not with him into a solitary place, for blood is as nothing in his sight. Yeah, this guy is dangerous, and he got no chill. Don't try to go back and forth with somebody like that, especially not in a place where it's just you and him. That's the solitary place. Because what's going to happen if he he's the type of person that blood is as nothing in his sight, he can kill you easily. What do you think is going to happen, right? It says, and where there is no help, he will overthrow thee. So he's going to get the upper hand over you and, either injure you or kill you. Consult not with a fool, for he cannot keep counsel. Yeah, don't go and try to, seek counsel from a fool. One, he will not give you sound sound information. And two, whatever you discuss there, chances are it's not going to stay amongst you two either. Do no secret thing before a stranger, for thou knowest not what he will bring forth. Right. So, because you don't know who this person is, right? They're a stranger. You haven't proved them. So something that should be kept secret should not be done in their sight, because you don't know what they're going to do, whether they're going to, expose it, or you don't know. So you don't want to risk that. Verse 19, open not thine heart to every man. Right. So don't disclose your thoughts. Don't be, open, right. And letting out your heart, to every man, right? Don't just embrace anybody, lest he requite thee with a shrewd turn. Okay. And let's also take a look at this verse 19 in the GNTD. You should not reveal your most private thoughts to to anyone. If you do, you may as well throw away any chance of happiness, because they can end up using it against you. So you got to be careful who it is that you know, expose your inner thoughts to. And that brings us to the end of the book of Ecclesiasticus, the 8th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.